Pete and I are the only ones around this board that were maybe old enough to remember what happened. I don't even know if Pete was here then, but though there was a lot of hope that Alcan was going to be, and the fact that Alcan had the rights to all that resource of water and what they needed to build Kitimat. And the idea was, or at least that was sold at the time, was that would be used to develop the Northwest, and that it would reach out beyond Kitimat, and that we would benefit from it along the river and along the highway. And we haven't. We just haven't. And it's only the last, and I have to say at the same time, going back, is that Alcan has done many things in the years that it's been here, and particularly it has built Kitimat, which is quite an amazing city. But at the same time, there have been years that we have been flat out, like dust was blowing down the streets of Terrace and Kitimat, and people just moved out, ups and downs. And I just think that this presentation today is great. It brings a lot of hope if it really is going to happen. But then for people like me who have been here and seen this promise before, and not only with Alcan as a company, but with all of the forest companies that have come into our community too, and reap the resources, and nothing remains. In Hazelton we have an ice arena that's fine. We have nothing in Hazelton, actually nothing. And if you look at us compared to what we were 50 years ago when Alcan first came, we've gone backwards. Because at the time we had what we needed to be a community, and now we don't have that anymore. And we can't blame that on Alcan at all, but we can blame that on the feeling that business has, that when they come into a community, and that's what I miss here, is that this is great, but wouldn't you think that a company that has been given so much use of the resource would form some kind of partnership with the community and say, work with us and see how sustainable we can make this be. Work with us and see what we can provide in these communities in terms of social economics, training, all of that kind of stuff. And I cannot really fault Alcan and Rio Tinto now, because they do some of that stuff. And I know I say something really... That's right. It doesn't, it's like if you apply, if you scream, if you yell.
Well, sometimes, yeah.
Yeah, you sometimes get something. But at the same time, it seems to me that a company like this that has been given power over so much, like from Burns Lake to here, like beyond Burns Lake, actually Vanderhoof, how the farmers are affected by what happens with what you do with the water management. And I just think, why isn't there a way that we could form some kind of plan and working together? And I know that I haven't fostered that feeling much in the last 50 years. But
I think and I recognise. I don't know Hazelton, and my apologies for that. It's we passed through. That might be one of the biggest.
You never come down off the highway to Hazelton.
No,
that's Hazelton.
And my apologies. I guess I would agree in that sense. We tend to, as companies, we tend to look for opportunities and deal with challenges. Yeah. That's a general way of saying problems. Yeah. And typically, so sometimes the squeaky wheel gets the oil. In terms of the one that makes the most noise gets the oil. Yeah. We look not at Hazelton, not because we don't like Hazelton. It's maybe just not on the radar, because when we look at that map and you look at Vanderhoof, because of its proximity to the really being on in the Chaco River, and of course with the flood control measures, with spill controls that we have to put in place, then of course Vanderhoof and Prince George are very much on our mind. Burns Lake, because literally it's right into the watershed areas, and of course we're dealing with the south side residents as well as First Nations in that area. So those have been a focus for sure. The highway, typically maybe not. I'm not saying that's good or bad, it's just maybe not. And I'm not sure if we're the full solution. I think to be part of a solution, but not necessarily the only solution. And I think we're often the big company in small communities.
You're the only one left.
Yeah. And that's that's not a healthy thing, but we are here. We want to be here. We're planning to be here for another 50 years plus. And I think that's huge.
And Harry asked you, what about this regional district now? And we're part of it. I mean, we're not right next to your dam or right next to canal completion or anything like that, but we depend on what happens in this whole area.
Absolutely.
And so I just think that it's time in this day and age, and probably, that probably is the reason that we're in the bad financial condition that we are now, because big businesses look at their bottom line, at their profit line, and all of the people and all the communities that survive around that profitability are below the bottom line. They're not part of the consideration. Maybe Kitimat is for you,
well,
but not this area.
Companies are built on
Money.
no, well, they're built on people actually, because with the people we don't do what we do, raw materials and all this good stuff. At the end of the day, it's to make money. But if a company's not making money, I would suggest nobody benefits.
But lots of times, even when a company's making money, communities around it, and that is exactly what I think has happened.
Well, I think, I'm not going to disagree with that. I think, of course, our first focus is Kitimat. And predominantly all of our folks have typically lived there. But actually, there's probably 200 to 300 folks now live in Terrace. So, of course, when we have our second biggest employee base is right here. And, of course, Terrace is very much on the radar screen. Those communities of Vanderhoof, Burns Lake, are on our radar screen because of where they are in terms of proximity to the reservoir. But essentially, that's why Kitimat, obviously, but actually Terrace is more directly coupled to us. And I hope it's a mutual beneficial relationship that we have with Terrace and with Kitimat, obviously. We're not perfect. I'm not sitting here to tell you that we're perfect. We're not. We're very good at doing what we do.
But wouldn't it be nice to feel like you had good, I mean, Kitimat, you have contributed to the swimming pools and stuff that looks good, but we really have the northwestern corner of British Columbia is the poorest and
so what does that look like? What does that look like? Is it just cash? Is it access? What does it look like?
It's planning together to use the resources for the good of the people in the area. It's working together. It's entering into your bottom line, the communities that are affected in this area. I know that I'm off the map when it comes to businesses, but I still just think that maybe the solution to the poverty that exists in this area, when there is such a huge and rich company and we have so much of our water resource coming to, and it is, it's like a gold mine, because you can also do canal completion, which probably is less evil today than it was 50 years ago. But
please you said that, I didn't say that. Just so what
I didn't say that. It's less evil. But I just love to think that probably when we have big companies come in, they could be partners with the regional district and the local governments, and the benefits could go.
You know what, this is the first time in my 6 years that we've had this presentation and been here face to face, and it's awesome. Let's take it as a start. Believe it or not, I've only been to the district of Kitimat twice in my 6 years. So hopefully, for whatever the reason and the mechanisms, this might be a start. Because we need you, maybe as much as you need us. Because you can kill projects quicker than anyone.
We've had a very good